Alright, let's dive in. Birth charts, you've probably heard a lot about them. Maybe you've even Googled your own birth chart, looked at your sun sign, your moon sign, and wondered, what does all this actually mean? But here's the thing, and it's something that not nearly enough people talk about. There are a lot of misconceptions when it comes to birth chart. And if you're not careful, these misconceptions can lead you down a path where you're completely missing the deeper wisdom, the real insights that a birth chart can offer. Let's start with one of the biggest misconceptions right off the bat. A lot of people think that your birth chart is some kind of cosmic personality test. They treat it like a spiritual Myers-Briggs, or like it's some mystical sorting hat that just defines who you are, how you act, and what your future holds. But that's not how it works. A birth chart is a tool. It's a map of the energies you were born under. Yes, but it's not a fixed box that you're locked into for the rest of your life. It's not fate. It doesn't predetermine everything that's going to happen to you. Instead, think of your birth chart as a blueprint. It shows the energies that were present at the moment of your birth, and those energies can influence the paths you take, the challenges you face, and the strengths you have access to. But here's the key: you still have free will. You still have the power to make choices, to grow, to evolve beyond the patterns that might be suggested by your chart. Too many people use their birth chart as an excuse, as a way to say, well, I'm just like this because I'm a Scorpio, or I'm always going to be unlucky in love because of the way my Venus is placed. But that's not how it works.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
Here's a question for you. Are you using your birth chart to understand yourself better, or are you using it to limit yourself? That's a real question you have to ask yourself. Because if you're using astrology as a way to explain away all your problems without taking responsibility for your actions, then you're misunderstanding the entire purpose of this ancient tool. Another common misconception is that your sun sign is the be-all and end-all of your chart. You know, people will say, I'm a Gemini or I'm a Capricorn, and they think that's the whole story. But your sun sign is just one part of the puzzle. It's important, yes, your sun represents your core essence, your identity, the energy that drives you, but there's so much more to you than just that. Your moon sign speaks to your emotional world, your inner landscape. Your rising sign is how you project yourself into the world, how people perceive you. And then you've got all the planets, each one ruling over different aspects of your life, your communication, your life, your career. So, when people say, I don't relate to my sun sign, that's usually because they haven't looked deeper into their full chart. And this is where things get really interesting. Your birth chart is a snapshot of the sky at the exact moment of your birth. It's a complex web of energies and influences, and all of those planets, all of those signs are interacting with each other in unique ways. It's not just about one sign, it's about the whole picture. Now, let's take this deeper. What if your birth chart isn't about defining you, but about revealing the potential within you? Think about that for a second. What if it's not about predicting your future or telling you who you are, but about showing you the energies you can work with, the strengths you can lean into, and the challenges you'll need to overcome in order to grow? One of the most dangerous misconceptions about birth charts is this idea of fatalism. So many people look at their chart and think it's a roadmap for the rest of their lives, like everything is predestined and there's nothing they can do to change it. This is such a limiting way to look at astrology, and honestly, it's a misunderstanding of what the birth chart is trying to show you. Your chart is not your fate, it's a tool of empowerment. Let's break this down. A birth chart shows you the energies at play in your life, but it doesn't dictate your destiny. It's like a weather forecast. If you know it's going to rain, you don't just stand outside and get soaked. You grab an umbrella, you wear a raincoat, you adapt to the conditions. Your birth chart works in the same way. It shows you the cosmic weather around you, the tendencies, the challenges, the opportunities, but it's up to you how you respond. This is where free will comes in. You have the power to choose how you respond to the energies in your chart. Well, for example, if you see that you have a challenging aspect between Mars and Saturn, that doesn't mean you're doomed to a life of frustration and blocked efforts. It means that you're being given the opportunity to develop patience, discipline, and persistence. It's like the universe is handing you a set of weights to lift. Yes, it's hard, but if you lift those weights every day, you're going to get stronger. And that's what your birth chart is doing. It's giving you the tools for your personal evolution. Ask yourself, are you seeing the challenges in your chart as opportunities for growth, or are you letting them keep you stuck? This is a huge shift in perspective. When you start to see your chart as a guide to help you grow, rather than a prison that limits you, everything changes. You stop feeling like a victim of the stars and start feeling like an active participant in your own life. Another thing to consider, timing matters. Astrology has something called transits, which are the current movements of the planets and how they're interacting with your birth chart. These transits can bring up different energies at different times in your life. So if you're going through a rough period, it might not be because you're inherently unlucky or doomed. It might just be because you're in a tough transit. But the good news is, transits pass. Nothing lasts forever, not even the hard stuff. But here's the real secret. The challenges in your chart are often the key to your greatest growth. The things you struggle with the most, the patterns that keep showing up, are often the areas where you have the most potential for transformation. So instead of fearing the difficult parts of your chart, what if you embraced them? What if you saw them as your soul's curriculum, the lessons you're here to learn in this lifetime? Let's talk about another major misconception, the oversimplification of planetary energies. Too often astrology gets reduced to stereotypes. You hear things like Mars is just aggression or Venus is only about love, but in reality, the planets represent complex, multifaceted energies. Sure, Mars is about action and drive, but it's also about courage, passion, and how you assert yourself in the world. Venus isn't just about romantic love, it's about your values, your relationship with beauty, and what you're attracted to on a soul level. So when you look at your birth chart, don't just reduce the planets to one-dimensional meanings. Ask yourself, what is this planet really trying to teach me? For example, if you have Venus in a challenging aspect, it doesn't just mean you're going to have a hard time in relationships. It might mean that you're being asked to develop a deeper understanding of self-love, or that you need to work through some old wounds around worthiness. Another misconception is that the planets cause things to happen. This is where a lot of people get confused. The planets don't make things happen in your life. They're not some external force pulling the strings. Instead, they reflect the energies that are present within you and in the world around you. Think of the planets like mirrors. They're showing you what's going on, but they're not the cause. So, for example, if you're going through a tough Saturn transit, it's not that Saturn is punishing you. Saturn is reflecting a period in your life where you're being asked to take responsibility, to get serious, to build something solid. Saturn doesn't cause the challenges, it just shows you where you need to step up and do the work. Here's a question for you. Are you seeing the planets as external forces that control your life? Or are you viewing them as reflections of your own inner journey? This is a critical distinction to make. When you shift your perspective, You stop feeling like life is happening to you and start realizing that you're co-creating your experience with the universe. Now let's bring everything together. The real purpose of your birth chart goes far beyond just telling you about your personality or predicting what's going to happen in your life. In fact, if you're using it only for that, you're missing out on the deeper, transformative power it holds. A birth chart is ultimately a tool for self-discovery and personal evolution, a guide that helps you understand yourself and your life's journey on a much more profound level. But here's the catch: knowing your chart isn't the end of the road. The real work begins when you start applying the wisdom it offers to your daily life. This is where many people get tripped up. They dive into astrology, learn about their sun, moon, and rising signs, and maybe even identify some challenging aspects in their chart. But then they stop there. They don't take the time to reflect on what this information truly means for their growth. It's like having a map but never actually setting foot on the journey. And that's the thing: the chart is just the map. You're the one who has to walk the path. So how do you use your birth chart as a roadmap for personal evolution? First, it's essential to understand that your chart is not a set of rules or limitations, it's a guide. It's not telling you what you can or can't do, it's showing you the energies you have available to work with. And when you start to see it that way, the whole game changes. You stop looking at your chart as something that confines you and start seeing it as something that empowers you. Take, for example, someone with a difficult Saturn placement. Most people look at Saturn as a source of struggle. Oh no, here comes hard work, limitations, and delays. But what if, instead of fearing Saturn, you embraced what it's asking of you? Saturn's energy is about discipline, responsibility, and mastery. It's not here to punish you, it's here to help you build something solid and lasting in your life. The challenges it brings are opportunities for growth, not obstacles meant to hold you back. This shift in perspective is crucial. When you start seeing the difficult aspects of your chart as places where you can grow the most, you turn the whole narrative around. You become the active participant in your evolution. You stop being the person who says, "This is just how I am, because I'm a Capricorn," and you start asking, "How can I work with this energy to become the best version of myself?" And let me tell you, it's not just the tough placements that hold lessons. Even the so-called positive aspects in your chart have something to teach you. It's easy to see a harmonious Venus placement and think, "Great, I'm going to have smooth relationships and an easy time with love." But are you fully leaning into that energy? Are you cultivating the beauty, harmony, and values that Venus is offering you? Are you using your gifts to create more love and connection in the world? Gifts are only valuable if you use them. So don't take the positive aspects of your chart for granted. Lean into them, develop them, and let them shine. Now, let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Your birth chart isn't just about understanding your strengths and weaknesses. It's also about understanding your life's purpose. Every chart has a unique configuration that points to the lessons you're here to learn and the gifts you're here to share. There's a reason why you were born at the exact moment you were, under the exact planetary alignments present at that time. Your chart holds clues to why you're here, what you're meant to do, and who you're meant to become. For instance, the North Node in your chart is often seen as the marker of your soul's destiny, that it points to the qualities you're here to develop and the direction your soul is meant to move toward in this lifetime. The South Node, on the other hand, represents the energies you've already mastered in past lives, but it can also show where you might get stuck if you relied too heavily on your comfort zone. Understanding the balance between your North and South Node can give you incredible insight into your spiritual journey and help you navigate the challenges and opportunities life throws your way. Here's a deep question for you. Are you living in alignment with your soul's purpose, or are you stuck in old patterns that no longer serve you? This is something only you can answer, and it's a question that your birth chart can help you explore. But again, it's not enough to just know where your north node is located or what house your sun is in. You have to take that knowledge and use it. You have to integrate it into your life. You have to take action. And that brings us to one of the most crucial points. Astrology is not passive. It's not something that happens to you. It's something you engage with, something you work with. The planets don't control you. They reflect the energies that are present. You have free will, and you have the power to choose how you respond to those energies. The key is awareness. Once you're aware of the patterns in your chart, you can start making conscious choices to work with those energies in a way that supports your growth. But here's the thing. Awareness is just the first step. It's the foundation, but it's not the whole journey. You have to take that awareness and turn it into action. You have to commit to your own growth. You have to take responsibility for your own evolution. And that's where the real magic happens. So, ask yourself, where in your life are you resisting the energy that's trying to come through? Are you holding on to old patterns because they feel safe, even though they're keeping you stuck? Are you afraid to step into your full potential because it feels unfamiliar or uncomfortable? These are the questions your birth chart can help you answer, but only if you're willing to do the work. Remember, your chart is not a prison, it's a tool of liberation. It's here to help you understand yourself, but it's also here to help you grow beyond yourself. It's a guide to your inner world, but it's also a map to your highest potential. The question is, are you ready to use it? Because the answers are there, waiting for you to discover them.